let me ask the audience, how many people frankly feel that registry is of value? Lift your hands. Yeah, that is a significant people believe in that. So the only thing is we have to reach here. William, there are some criticisms against the registry. They say that one or two bad apples with a high volume can skew the results. What is your take on that?
No, I think once you get to a high level of participation, the data sort of sorts itself out amongst technology, the patient, and the surgeon, right? So if someone's got a high failure rate, they will be individually identified. We can identify it by surgeon, by unit, and by implant, right? We also can sort out certain patient characteristics that we can risk adjust for survivorship of a given surgeon's revision rate and a given institution's revision rate and a given technology. So you can go online and look at your cases that were put into the registry, and we will give you a revision rate based on our ability to get data out of Medicare. The key to a registry is follow-up data, right? So about 60% of our hips and knees are paid for by the federal government, and we have access to the federal government data. So if you do a primary and I do your revision or vice versa at another hospital, you may not even know it. And so we can, every quarter, and now it's, I don't know, every year now, we access the Medicare data. We have to pay for it, so that's one of the problems. It's a real disadvantage in India and the US not to have the government help us by sort of encouraging and/or mandating participation, right? We're trying to improve quality, we're trying to reduce costs, and they won't step up and say, we're not even asking them to pay for it, just tell people they have to do it.
In US, is it mandatory that you have to, what I'm trying to say is your ranking is also put on the web? That Melanie?
No. And that one of the things you asked me at the beginning is what were the early barriers? Yeah. The biggest one was surgeons were worried that they would be publicly shamed.
Right. Yeah. The same analogy, suppose let us say one area very high volume, you know that, if that surgeon doesn't want his infections to go online, he might conceal that. Is there a possibility?
No, because the data of those institutions that are participating, the surgeon doesn't submit the data. The hospital does.
Oh,
so we had to take the surgeon out of the equation. They're too unreliable to submit data. They're too busy. They're tired at the end of the day. They forget to submit the forms. In Australia, I think the surgeons do a lot of the data submission. In UK, it's mandatory. And two, it's the hospitals that are doing most of the work, I believe. So if the surgeons are doing the work, even in UK, they've been accused of sort of hiding their complications because there are implications in some of these countries where you and I are running the show and we go say, well, your revision rate's a little higher. We come and meet with you and say, what's going on? You know, can we help you? Blah, blah, blah. Providing feedback to improve quality. That's been going on in Sweden since the beginning. So every unit, every year gets feedback on the performance, and then that unit can go back to the surgeon and say, you know, we need to have some education, we need to look at patient selection, et cetera.
Deepak, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think further to your point that the surgeon doesn't want to show his data because of some fear. The problem, the better thing is that the data is only going to remain to him only. So the robust system of the registry, that whatever number you do, whatever complication you have, it's only known to you. So we should not worry that, okay, I have these complications, and as William just shown his slide, there's a good practice. You can match your data with the others' data and learn from that.
You're not going to name and shame.
In the UK, though, in the UK, you can go on and look up.
Yes, that's what I want to say. Vaibhav and Dr. Pachure, I'm surprised and disappointed that your hip failure is 50% cause not known. How does that happen? That means what I'm trying to tell is the guardians of the registry, when these forms come, the revision hip cause not known, you should immediately talk back to the surgeon to get that information included. Is it not an omission?
No. We'll have to do that. There is no question, because most of what data comes from the surgeons. Sometimes they are not mentioning the cause of the failure.
That's what I'm precisely saying, Dr. Pachure. Why the guardians or the registry gatekeepers have not gone back and asked them put the cause?
No. Definitely we will look at that.
Yeah, because 50%. Because it doesn't serve anybody's purpose.
No, they are the aseptic loosening. That whole chart is that aseptic loosening, actually, which has not been clarified by Vaibhav. It is aseptic loosening is 50%, and we are operating about 10% of this one for instability. cause of the instability.
Yeah, Neelan, how can we make the Indian registry better? 1, 2, 3 points.
I think we should clearly state to the young surgeons that if they contribute, what are they going to get? Because to do it for the common good doesn't really,
Appeal.
excite the young surgeons. So
you-
there
you
should
think-
be...
No, let us not insult those guys. Do you think you and me are the only altruistic people and they don't care for common good?
No, they do. They do. But when you are starting practice, you have certain other aims.
I know. I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, go ahead.
So ISHK as a body should come out with plans as to if you start contributing, how ISHK as a body will help those surgeons so that we get it.
Now tell me how can we help also?
I think there should be some dedicated, like if somebody is more interested in knees, we should arrange a fellowship with the high performance knee surgeons for those guys so that they can come and see at ISHK expense, if possible.
Yeah, the incentives for participation are really important.
But-
And the incentives for participation are really important, right? So the hospitals pay a small fee to be part of this, and they get feedback from their unit. They have some value in that, but they also can get recognition. So in our country, to be a center of excellence in hip and knee replacement, that's a different body that does that. We worked with them, and you have to be a member of the AJRR, your hospital does, to be a center of excellence. So, and you could think of ways to acknowledge the surgeons in the country that are participating and the hospitals that are participating, so at least they get something, a pat on the back. We do it for the good, we're all busy, and it's hard sometimes to keep it going.
Balaria.
William, is it mandatory over in United States?
Balaria,
Unfortunately, no.
Mic close.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not mandatory.
No. So you think that by keeping in a law like mandatory, it improves the registry, or?
Well, the question, who's going to make it mandatory? The American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons doesn't have the power to do that. And in our system, it would have to be the federal government, because the federal government pays for 60% of the hip and knee replacements. So if the federal government says you have to participate in order to get paid, that's payment for participation, that could happen. But they're reluctant to do this in this particular situation.
So that is what our interest is, because here is also not mandatory. Yeah.
Dr. Pachure.
See what Nilen was talking, yes. What we have been doing for this, all the youngsters who are already contributing, we are actually we are giving the platform for them for the presentation, number one. Number two, we are also fellowship program, which we are trying to build with them. And third important thing, every year, all these people, they get a what is called surgeon's report, which is almost about 30 to 40 pages surgeon's report. What is his data? What is our data? What is the mean? Everything is there. We are still not able to give what is called as a funnel chart, which is not possible unless we get a large data, so that we can know what is the revision rate of you and Nilen. We will know whether you are on right side or left side. That is actually the last point. What is the important is of the registry, revision rate. That is another thing which, and another important thing, we have given a beautiful certificate for them. They are the contributors for the registry, and most of the people, young people, have put there into the clinic as a certificate.
Is there any way, let us say Pradeep has got a 0.8% infection rate, it can be matched to the national average. You got any national average?
Because we don't have that a large amount of data.
Oh,
Unless you get 80 to 90% of the country's data, we will not be able to. Because Pradeep may be a high volume surgeon for a revision, so it cannot.
William, you're saying something.
I don't think you need 80 or 90%. So we had statistical analysis of our data set, and by people who really know about clinical trials and clinical data, and we hired them to come in and look at our data set. The question is your data representative of what goes on in your country? So high volume surgeons, low volume surgeons, high volume hospitals, low volume hospitals, a spectrum of patients geographically across the country, hospitals geographically across the country, different ethnic backgrounds, et cetera. And they came in and they did a deep dive in our data set. They said, in fact, we believe, it was a unanimous consensus, that your data set represents hip and knee replacement in the United States. So we're not going to get to 80 or 90% anytime soon. The only way you get to 80 or 90% is if it's making it mandatory. And if your government won't do it, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking a hypothetical question for the youngsters. Let us say there are some brilliant young surgeons which we are seeing of every year. They send it to the registry and they get the report that their infection rate is, let us say, less than 1%. Can they go to the patient and say, this is a registry data about my performance in an average, let us say, international average 1% to 3%. So my infection rates are on par with the international standards. Can they claim to be the way they are truthful?
Yeah, so we discourage that.
Yeah.
We discourage that. We discourage the companies from using the data, and they do anyway. We really can't control it, right? And so I have not seen individual surgeons market their practice based on the registry data. I have seen, as you all have, companies use registry data to support their products.
Yeah, that's a different story, William. I'm saying the youngsters to be incentivized to come into the registry, is it not an appropriate thing to do?
Yes, it is, definitely. It is not only for the patient, but for themselves also.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. It is not a marketing thing. It is a real, true reflection in the registry.
Yes, they can compare their data with the overall data and without exposing their own numbers.
That's what, yeah.
But Guruva, if it is not mandatory, the surgeon can be hiding his infection rate.
We can't do anything.
So unless it is mandatory, he will not be putting all his cases.
In all this conference, those who have been showing their complications, they have already been congratulated. So you need to have a gut to come out and people are showing their own complications. They are not fear of having, I have done something wrong. That's how the learning process comes.
No, Deepak, that's entirely different when you, depending on your career graph. You and me can stay here and say, I have killed 10 patients, but not a young MS ortho who just started the practice. There is no way. We cannot compare apples with oranges. Right?
So,
Neelar.
What I would say is that, see, we have been collecting registry data since a long time. So we need to understand what is the granularity that we are aiming for. Are we looking at, as Bill showed, how many days people stay? Age and BMI is, it's a common thing, but hospital stay is important, infection rate is important, revision rate is important. So what are we doing to get that data?
Yeah. As we go along, we'll better that. And any questions, one or two from the audience?
Dr. Maloni, what is the, data tells from America regarding uni conversion to revision in the revision? Uni as a cause for revision knee?
That's a great question. We looked at it compared to, I don't want to misquote it. So the lowest revision rate from uni to total was with robotic total knee replacement, right? And second was implant specific. The manual, the Zook, sort of did a little bit better than most everything else. And then everything else was grouped. So there was, it fell out to three groups. The robotic total knee, which happened to be all Stryker because they've been around for 10 years. Then the Zook, and then everything else. And it was, I don't want to misquote it. It was a couple of percent. It was pretty good. It wasn't quite as good as total, but it's getting close.
Yeah, 5 please.
Recently, we had a national policy that tuberculosis has become a notifiable disease. So can ISHK as an advocacy group not advocate to the government that all joint replacements across hospitals be made notifiable procedures? And can we pass the onus of sending this data to the registry to the implant companies and the hospitals?
Yes, that is one of the things which we are looking into. And it's a long way to go, but definitely Ashok, Rajgopal and others are working on that. And probably in 5 years, if we are lucky, all the joint replacement information is mandatory. Thank you so much, Dr. Pachore.
Yeah, we have already reached that level, and we have already, we are on the way, at least first step is already passed out. They are actually, ISHK body has been recognized as a registry body from the Government of India. And next step definitely, we are reaching ICMR, and third step is we have to get into the government, that is PMO. We are already in touch with the PMO that this registry should be to make it compulsory to the surgeons and as well as to the industry, so we can have enough data.
Yes, the last point I want to emphasize is ISHK is getting recognized by national government, ICMR as well. we got a legal cell. So any ISHK member, you need not fight the battle alone. We are there with you. So that is an important, very important point for the youngsters. So please be members of the ISHK and be protected. Thank you.